Happy Friday. It's Friday for me. You might be listening to this at some other time during the week. How's everybody doing out there? I hope everybody's having a good week or a good day. I've got a really interesting guest on. I don't know, it's always, he's one of these guys that, where does he represent? He represents kind of everything. Super busy guy. I'm just going to bring him in. I always ramble. I don't know how to start these things. I got to really figure it out. Jordan, Dr. Jordan Sanderson, how are you doing today?
I'm great, Mark, man. Thank you for having me.
What's top of mind right now? Like, I see that you went to school too for chemistry. Like, how does that all fit into, like, where do I begin with you? So let's talk about your school. You started in chemistry before dentistry. Like, how is that, like, does that have any influence on your practice or your education?
I mean, yeah, it wasn't planned. Like, I did chemistry probably like any undergrad would. I wanted to do dentistry, so I did what I was good at, and that just happened to be chem.
Yeah.
Funny enough, though, that as I moved through the chemistry, I started to find a little specialty in free radical polymerization, which just happened to be all of the materials that we use in our profession. So, yeah, I mean, biomaterials for me in dental school was a lot of fun. I think it was not the case for a lot of my classmates, but yeah, it was a cool crossover. It wasn't intentional, but I'm pretty excited that I was able to bring that first degree into my day to day.
Science is cool, right? Yeah. Like, science is awesome. Like, dentistry is a materials game, though, so there's a lot of chemistry involved in it. And like, especially, your realm and your passion is, 3D printing, right? So it plays into that too, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. I mean, probably the reason that I got so excited about printing, like, I've been printing for the better part of a decade, even before it came to the dental world. I was making stupid toys on my desktop printer just for fun. And as it kind of entered the dental realm, it was clunky. It was hard. I'm not surprised nobody was doing it back then, but just to see what it's done over the last even 24 months, like, the materials are insane. The progress is absolutely ridiculous, and it's hard to keep up, honestly. Like, for someone like me who lives and breathes it, I find it challenging at times, but it's a materials game, and they're just getting better.
Yeah. And it is tough. Like, I see a lot of folks that have invested in the 3D printer. They look beautiful too. They're so cool. And they're always in this really nice lit counter, but a lot of them are not in use. And, like, a lot of people don't know where to start with it. So, where did you, like, so you started printing toys, like, and now that's like, what is so fascinating to you about 3D printing itself? Like, it's changing the world in manufacturing as well. So, like, what's your take on the whole 3D printing? Is it going to take over, like, certain elements of the practice?
Yeah, I mean, it has taken over in my practice. I think there's a bit of a misunderstanding about 3D printing and what it is capable of. Like, you get these conversations that will happen about, oh, this is going to be the mill killer, or, the lab killer, or whatever. It's just another tool. Like, it fits into these existing workflows we have really seamlessly if you're just able to be a little bit curious. And I think that's probably our biggest problems as dentists, is we're so busy. We don't have an avenue to spend a bit of time to explore that curiosity. I would go to a course and get some CE, but how do you then bring that back and spend some time to teach your team and get everybody on board? I don't want to toot the horn of 3D printing too much, but it's going to be a part of every dentist world eventually. There's just no way that it can't be. I haven't taken an alginate impression in 3 years. And if those materials are starting to disappear and patients are starting to expect things to be a little different. So, It's just like scanning. Like it's a big barrier. People get intimidated by it, but the technology is so amazing once you get your hands on it and get comfortable with it. It opens up doors that you might never have seen or even thought of.
I think like just anything in life, I think everything inevitably goes to the path of least resistance, right? So, we talk about like, eventually 3D printing, like a permanent crown is going to happen. I think, like if we think about that in terms of like implementing something like that in practice, it makes a lot of sense, right? Especially for the patient. We talk about mills too, like, just it's the attractiveness of patient coming for one visit, right? Just and now we're offering all this other possibilities with like everything else, like 3D printing clear aligners or night guards or all sorts of things. So what are you 3D printing in practice? Like what's been amazing on that front?
Yeah, I mean, 3D printing, you talk about permanent crowns, and it's interesting. You're right. We probably will get there. It's the thing that I have kind of structured it in the way that I talk to both participants of our courses about is I try not to think of it as a filling or a milled crown. It's this completely new road. And so if you think of it that way, it almost opens up a completely new path. So we're 3D printing everything, all of our temporary crowns, anything that's bigger than 2 units, we just 3D print it because it's easier, it's quicker. We're doing a lot of prepless cosmetic dentistry. So, I used to do a lot of BioClear, and I've now replaced that with prepless 3D printed veneers. All of our models, we've been doing night guards for years now, which is, capturing that revenue is really powerful. It pays those printers off very quickly. But it goes even further, 2-appointment dentures, fully digital, partial dentures, flippers, implant surgical guides. Like we have brought every aspect that we possibly can. And probably the most impactful one has been staging our comprehensive cases. So people that need full mouth reconstruction, but are maybe not able to pay a $40,000 or $50,000 bill right up front, we can stage it now. So we can do some milled ceramics and some 3D printed, and with the understanding that those printed materials are not going to last more than a few years, and start swapping them out. Just the ability to open up access to care with these types of technologies is kind of mind blowing if you think about the applications.
That's kind of it, isn't it? It's kind of it expands that whole realm, doesn't it? Like that's just like any other tool, and I think the limits are within our own creativity to use the tool, right? Inlays and onlays too. Like I'm hearing about this is kind of becoming a thing as well.
Yeah, it's SprintRay has a piece of technology called Midas. It's not available in Canada yet, but hopefully by the end of this year it will be. My plan with that technology is to never do a direct composite again. I'm gonna do everything 3D printed because I don't really have a reason not to. I find class 2s to be quite challenging to do them really well consistently, and so I want to be able to take some of that predictability from 3D printing and bring it into my practice. It's just cool. It's just neat. Like it's neat to be able to do those kinds of things and not sweat about doing a quadrant of fillings.
Where does one begin then? Like obviously you've got this amazing course. We'll dive into that, but as this this topic it's an inevitable thing. I think it's going to be like the intraoral scanner. Where does somebody start? Like, and what should they focus on first?
Yeah, it's a great question because you're right that there's this paralysis with the idea that you got to take it all on right away. And the thing that we tell our course participants is just take the first step. And that could be as easy as models. Your lab is probably charging you 25 or 30 bucks for a printed model. You can do that yourself. You don't need fancy software. Most scanners can produce a model for you. Just 3D print it and send it to the lab. That's easy. If you want to get into the idea of actually recapturing some of that investment in the printer, splints like night
Hmm.
guards. I have a fairly night guard heavy practice just based on how I like to operate, and those are incredibly lucrative. And it's not difficult. You don't even need to do your own design if you don't want to. You now have these abilities. One of the perfect kind of things that it has done for me is offer flexibility. Like we had a really bad fire up here in the Kelowna area 2 summers ago. We were evacuated for a couple of weeks, but a lot of our patients that were living over in the fire areas lost their night guards to when their house went down. I just went back into my system and reprinted them all for them. It was a flexibility that I had because I had the technology to do it. It didn't cost me anything, and so that means something to people. It's nice to be able to have that flexibility to support people that are supporting you.
Yeah, that's cool. Um, yeah, man, was there so many fires? It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
We yeah. Anyways, that's another topic. Um, you talked about labs in there. Where do you see the laboratories fitting in all this? Obviously, if we're talking about single unit stuff and night guards and that kind of thing, that's kind of been the nucleus of the laboratory business. Where do you see the laboratory fitting in? Like the registered dental technician has so much knowledge and they add so much to the industry. Where do they fit? Where do those folks fit? Do you, in your mind's eye?
I think that, in my opinion, and at least from, not everybody is going to operate the way I do, where I have my own lab in house. And so my thought is that the realm of 3D printing is going to create more work for the dental labs, because by opening up this completely new avenue of treatment, people are going to get more dentistry done. People are going to need more ceramic restorations. That's ceramic restorations that might never have landed in the lab's lap to begin with. So I think they're going to get more work out of it. And I think that, yeah, maybe the inlays, onlays, single unit crowns take a bit of a dip, but arguably there might be opening to more specialties type things, really nice anterior ceramic work. Like those types of skills are not easily taught,
They're not.
and they're
Yeah.
not easily brought in house.
Yeah.
So, there's
It's a
always room for a good lab.
it's an art form, I think, especially when it comes to the anterior work. Some of those, like the zirconia hybrids and stuff like that. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Like what they're creating. And denturists, we can loop them into that as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, how important is it that and this is part of your education center too, is bringing the team into play? Like how why isn't everybody not doing this? Like to implement anything, is is there a lead in the practice? Do you pick somebody that's just interested in it? Like how does that all work?
Yeah, I mean, at the core of it, our teams are the reason that we're able to succeed. And when we implement a new system, we need the support of the people that we work with in order to be able to actually get it off the ground. And so, yeah, we structured our courses to hopefully address that pain point. When you register for a ticket, you get a complimentary staff seat. And how it works is you both come. We teach heavy in exocad as well as in the 3D printing realm, but you share a workstation together. So you have a computer. We teach you how to design. We teach you how to 3D print. We teach you how to finish it and produce final results that are really high quality and safe for your patients. And as a result of that, your team is now empowered to take the knowledge that they've learned, go back to the practice, and implement it for you. The idea that we as dentists go to these expensive CE courses and try to then go back home and teach everybody in the spare time we don't have, I think it's a big barrier to these types of workflows. So we wanted to work around that and give people an ability to teach a team member with them and have them be responsible for bringing the tech back to the practice and make it successful.
And then, is there some help after the fact with like systems? It's a systems game. Like a healthy practice is built on good systems. Like, and every practice is different. How does that work with, no two practices are alike in that sense?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it speaks to an interesting point, because when we first started this and started running these courses, this wasn't something that we were thinking about. Like how do people take this home and be successful other than helping them train a team member? And then we started having our participants ask us questions and said, okay, well, let's create a chat group for every single course that we run and keep that open so that people can continue to ask questions and have access to the instructors. And the coolest thing about that was how those chats are still active, a year later. We've got people posting cases and saying, hey, we've got, look at this thing that we did, implemented. And that's probably the coolest thing, because people feel like they're supported after the fact. Yeah, and then the layer up from that was the private in-office sessions that we offer. So if an office feels like they really need a handhold walkthrough of how to implement the systems, we come to you. We'll bring the team in there and we'll teach your entire team how to do all this stuff from start to finish. And that's been also very helpful. We've got lots of success in the practices that we've been in with that model. So it keeps evolving. It's kind of nice to see that it can be dynamic and fluid without having to stick to a really structured setup.
It's kind of it has a tendency to be kind of a siloed industry, doesn't it? Like it's seemingly like a lot of lonely practice owners out there, is that changing? Like, do you feel like with social media, with all this online stuff, are people gravitating more towards like collaboration? Like like you've seen these practices come through your courses. It's cool to hear that they're like maintaining conversation. That's cool. Like what's your thoughts there? Like, like are we moving towards something new?
Yeah, it's hard to answer, because I would say that the people that come to our courses is a very specific subset of dentists, right? They're hungry, they're curious, they want to learn how to do some design and are open to new ideas. The industry as a whole, yeah, man, like we eat our young, like it's awful.
Yeah.
I think social media makes it worse, because you compare yourself to some of these cases that are put up with no context. And so maybe you're thinking that you're not living up to what you should be as a dentist. Or even worse, you read the comments section of some of these things and just the vitriol and
it could be vile.
Out there. Oh, it's terrible.
People could be nasty and behind a computer or a phone. Yeah.
So it actually opened up another avenue for us. We do business coaching and mindset coaching for offices as well. So we kind of had some people ask us, because we've had quite a bit of success at the dental practice that I opened 4 years ago, specifically around culture and mindset and creating a really well-connected team. And so we had people asking us about it, and it ended up spiraling into us creating systems for other offices to help them along that road. And as we do that more and more, I start to see more exactly what you're talking about: the isolation, the feeling like people don't want to put themselves out there because they don't want to be criticized by their peers. We're trying to break it down, because it's a tough world out there, man. Dentistry is a tough career, and it's even harder if you do it alone.
It really is. I hear it's like from practice to practice, like everybody should be just talking more. Like Dr. Farajed here in Vancouver that put together the BC Study Club. I think, like let's just keep this open platform to share. I think we all would benefit from it. I don't know. That's me. I know there's a lot of people that like kind of hold all the gems they don't want to share, and that's fine too. But and ego too. Ego is another one that gets in the way, and I think that's sort of reflected in social media too. Like everybody will post their best picture or their best day, just in general with social, right? It's there's a bit of a vanity to it. So that's tough. Like I feel for like the young women of like there's a lot of like this plateau that you got to reach, right? How like what would you say to folks to defend against that, like those feelings, like the feeling of isolation, like if you can give a shout out to everybody.
You're not alone is probably the best thing that I can say. It's the idea of being able to step outside of the little bubble that you live in and ask people for help. Just understanding that most of us out there are not looking to beat you down. I ran through all of this. I had really tough time in the early days of my practice, just with identity and mental health and trying to balance all of the things that were going on in my life. And I needed a coach. That was really what helped me get over the hump, was somebody that was able to guide me because they had gone through the same things themselves. It was why we decided to offer it ourselves, because those struggles are so much more intense if you have to go through them without help. So the best thing is to just be open about how things are feeling in your world and ask for the help when you need it.
Can you think of, in your early days, like a mentor, like how important are mentors in just everybody's world?
Mentors are, well, okay, so if you have to define mentor, I guess. So clinical mentors, amazing. The one of the things that my associate and I do really well is we mentor each other. She's been in dentistry not as long as I have, so we share cases. That collaboration, that ability to talk about tough situations together from a clinical standpoint is invaluable. But I think the other layer to that is, how do you deal with the stuff that nobody wants to talk about? The difficult patient conversations, the interactions with your team, the difficult personalities that may intersect in the world. How do you manage the fear of the people that you're working on every day? I don't know many other professions where your clients will openly tell you that they hate you without so much as a blink. And so, yeah, clinical mentors, incredible. Be a better dentist. All for it. Mindset mentors, even more important. Honestly, the ability to have someone that can tell you that, guide you through uncoupling your personality and your identity from what you do as a dentist. Because I think all of us come out of dental school wrapped in that mentality that we are dentists and that's all that we are. And if we don't do dentistry well, then what's left? It's not easy to sort out, and it takes time, and it takes a kind of a vulnerability to be able to say, yeah, I need to work on this.
Right. And balance too, right? Like, especially like for you, for example, like how do you balance it all and not just go absolutely bonkers?
Yeah, balance. So balance is an interesting word, because I think a lot of us, when we think of balance, we think of a set of scales, right? You've got weight on one side and weight on the other, and you got to take weight from one side and move it to the other side to equal things out. And I think that unfortunately doesn't tell the whole story. And so when people ask me about balance, I basically say that balance is about being 100% present in what you're doing in that moment. So when I'm at work, I am at work. I'm 100% at work. All of the distractions are not there. When I'm at home, when I'm with my kids, I am 100% there with them. That is balance, because you can't do it all. You can't constantly be thinking about work, and you can't constantly be thinking about your family. That is how you burn out, because it's not about having enough energy. It's about having enough focus. and being able to weigh those things. And if you're finding that in that setup you're still struggling, then you need to create space. So
Hmm.
it's about unloading, you know, we have this problem as dentists where we think that we're the best at doing everything and that nobody else can do it better than us. You need to take a hard look in the mirror in those cases and start asking yourself, do I really need to be doing payroll? Do I really need to be doing my bookkeeping? You have to create room, or else, yeah, you'll go crazy. You go crazy. That's the path to insanity.
Yeah, and I think we all kind of have a flavor of insanity, right? Like we're all kind of going a little loopy. I feel it. Like how, like to the folks that are that have a very difficult time with delegation. Um, what would you say to them? Like, what sort of tips would you say? And like, just let go a little bit and depend on like how important is team and systems?
Yeah. So the one of my mentors said to me, he's like, the one thing that you have to ask yourself when you're having an issue like that is it a people problem or is it a process problem? Because if you feel like you can't trust your team to do a specific task, my question to you would be, have you trained your team to do that task properly? Have you taken the intention and the time to sit with them and create a standard operating procedures manual, create a video of how to do the specific task that you're doing? If you haven't done that, you're setting them up for failure. There was a quote that my mentor had told me. He said that unspoken expectations are premeditated resentments. So if you don't communicate to your team what you want and how you want it done, you are just setting yourself up to be upset. And that's not functional. So at the end of the day, we want to wash our hands of some of these responsibilities because we're too tapped, we're pulled in too many directions. But it comes back to focus. You have to be willing to either accept that you're going to do it all yourself and keep on the path that you're on, or dedicate the time that's needed to open the path for someone else to do it for you. And
Mm-hmm.
80% of something done by somebody else is 100% awesome. That's kind of the
Yeah.
the is, right? Like it doesn't matter if they do it all. You come in at the end and finish it up. If they can do the first 80%, like that's pretty great.
Yeah. And how toxic is like finger pointing, like,
Yeah.
where does that stem from? Do you think?
I mean, finger pointing, well, we are naturally a defensive species, right? Like
Yeah.
we,
Yes.
we don't like being put in the spotlight.
Right.
It's this whole idea of praise in public and criticize in private, right? If you need to give feedback to somebody, make sure you're doing it in an appropriate way. But yeah, you got to have standards. I mean, at the end of the day, the environment that you work in is going to be created by what you tolerate. So set it out, set your expectations very clearly, have it so that your team understands exactly what it is that is right and wrong. And then they're going to know when they screw up. They're going to know when it's not right. That kind of stuff just kind of goes away. Like you want your team to invest in your vision of the practice, and you need to create opportunities for them to become invested. Or yeah, you're just gonna have people pointing fingers at each other.
Yeah. And I think there's there's a difference in between leadership and like management too, right? Like, how important is leadership in a practice as well? Like not necessarily the owners, but just, the individuals that are responsible for certain tasks. Leadership, like how important is that?
I mean, it's all there is. The one of the things that I ask my coaching clients when we get to this type of topic is, how much do you know about your team? If you went to your one front desk administrator or your CDA and ask them, like, what's your 5-year goal? Like, what do you want in 5 years? Would you be able to answer that question? Because in my practice, my goal is to help them achieve theirs. So I know that one of my front desk receptionists really wants to go on a trip to Europe in 2 years and needs to. So I need to create opportunities for her to do that. Create opportunities for her to succeed in that goal. By doing that, you inevitably create buy-in from your team, and that's leadership. That's all it is. You can't expect people to want to be here more than you.
Right.
It's just not. No one's ever going to be as invested as the owner, and to expect it is it's just unrealistic. But you would be amazed at how willing people are to give you their all if you make them feel like they're worth something. You can go into any Facebook dental group, and half the arguments are about how staff are overpaid or how much it costs to hire a hygienist, and no one can find someone to replace the CDA that left. And my argument would be is that none of our staff are overpaid. Like, what you can get out of them, that is your entire practice. That is everything.
Yeah.
They will make your practice like top 1%, or they will sink it into the ground. And you need to remember that it's not about the dentistry most of the time. It's about the people and the interaction that they have with your patients.
It's true. Yeah. And I see that with all these successful practices that I'm in and out of. The good ones are the ones that, like, the team is just, there's a great culture. It's a happy place to be. They're taken care of. They're, like, they're valued, like, and the leaders that, like, see that, I think, are the winners, time and time again. It's hard to lead with a battle axe, I think, like, that's not a healthy environment for anybody's growth too. So, in your courses, has there been like like somebody that's been through something that's, like, given you like an aha moment? And everything is there any story that you can recall?
Oh, I mean, that's probably the coolest thing about the chat groups, is just seeing what people will do. Like the ability to just make your own night guards. Like, we've had some people come from pretty remote places, places where there's no lab or even a specialist available in the next few hours, outside of town. They can now manufacture these things themselves. Like, it's just the access that it creates is so kind of eye-opening. I think one of the coolest ideas that came out of one of these courses was one of the participants suggested, because they are involved in a number of kind of dental mission trips that go to underprivileged areas to help them out, was maybe we could bring a 3D printer and a scanner and create same-day dentures for people that needed them. You can't do that in most cases. Like, you can't bring a lab with you, but you can bring a printer and a scanner. Yeah. So there's some neat ideas that are coming out of it, and people are excited about the innovation, and they're starting to think outside the box, which is really what makes this profession exciting. Like, you can drill teeth all day long. It gets pretty boring. But these new concepts that people think up, it's like, that's a really cool idea. We should totally do that. And that's what fires me up. I get really excited about that type of thinking.
There is a lot of people doing a lot of cool things in this industry, isn't there? Like, it's a lot of fun. Like, I'm so fortunate to have the opportunity to talk to, like, people like yourself. It's really cool. Like, that's sort of it's so inspirational, like, man, oh man, I can go on and on. Like, the future of dental education, right? Like, where do you see it going? Like, in terms of, like, CE, with all this technology coming through the door, I see a lot of great folks out there, putting together these great curriculums that are doing some great things. Like, what do you like? How are you preparing for the future? What are you seeing? Like, how is everything going to be like 5 years from now?
Matt, I wish I could answer that question because it's moving so fast.
It is,
like, I still think as dentists, the future of CE is going to live in the world of hands-on. Like, you need to do the hands-on. COVID created opportunities for us to do online courses and that kind of learning. I just don't learn well that way.
Yeah.
I've learned that about myself. Going to a course and listening to lecture, that's great. But as I get older, I find that I can't do that nearly as well as I used to be able to. And so going to a course and having a hands-on experience where I get to learn tactily how to do something, like that is for me the most beneficial type of learning that exists. And I don't think that's going anywhere. It's just going to evolve. As AI becomes more prevalent in our world, the layers are just going to keep getting added on. And it's fascinating, the things that we're capable of doing now in practice that weren't able to do 6 months ago. Like it's that's how fast it's moving. And it's hard for me to keep up, and I got my nose in this stuff every day.
Yeah. It's wild. Like, you talked about like AI is just, we're all turning into little cyborgs. We're like, we're all going to be, Jarvis, have our own Jarvis. I don't know if you're a Marvels guy, but
Absolutely.
like there's going to be a time in the future where, we're going to have like a little birdie that sits on our shoulder that's informing us day to day, like what best choices to make. Like, where do you see AI like evolving the most? Like, I see diagnostics being a massive part of it, but what else do you see sort of AI opening the door for?
AI, I can say this because we're living it right now, but AI is, yes, diagnostics, huge. Auto generation of crown designs, surgical guide designs, that's great. Time saving.
Yeah.
That is where AI is right now. So for us in our practice, we have AI that does all of our clinical notes for us based on the transcription of the conversations in the operatory. We have AI that does all of our insurance verification. So we plunk data into a system, the AI calls Manulife, sits on hold for 2 hours, talks to the agent, and then emails us a PDF. Like,
that's wild.
That
is that a software you're using? What is that?
I'll give them a plug because it's actually a startup out of Ontario called Clear.
Clear.
CLEER.
Okay.
It's two young guys, I believe. But they're doing some cool stuff, and it's like my front office staff, they are over the moon about this product. It is really powerful, and really reasonably priced, which is not something that I typically used to seeing in dentistry.
Yeah.
It's saved dozens of hours a week. Like it's mind blowing. But that's where it's going. It's all about time saving. It's
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what are you using it for just day to day? Like, aside from dentistry, are you like, what are you rolling with? ChatGPT? What are you using?
How much time do you have?
I know. Me too.
We did. So we created a language model for the office that operates all of our standard operating procedures. So it knows everything about all of the operations in the office. And if a staff has any questions like, how do I request vacation? They just go into this thing, they type the question, and it will spit out the answer. And so it has all of you don't have to go digging through an office manual anymore. It's got all of that stuff in there. So it's basically a person that will train new staff. So all how to do things, they don't need a person there anymore. The AI can help them through it. All of our generation of emails, that's all AI. All of the organization of the emails, that's AI. It just keeps going. A lot of the design that we do, AI. It is non-stop.
Yeah, it's so cool. Like, I honestly, at this point, I can't imagine my day-to-day without various different tools. Like, it saves me so much time. And that's, you nailed it. It's a time saver.
It's been so instrumental that we actually included an entire dedicated part to AI in the office manager course that we teach at Ascend. So that all of the AI tools and how we operate them is taught as a part of that because of how many questions we were getting about how to use AI effectively in practice. Because it's like every week there's something new.
It's happening. Like, it really is. And it's eventually it's going to be us all managing like various different AIs. Like, that's sort of, I think, what the future is going to be. You know what I mean? Like, especially when it comes to the front end, they're going to be patient facing and then looking at dashboards of things happening. Like that's where it should be going. Like it's going to free them up to be to add to the patients. Like that's a no-brainer for me. Like being on the phone for 2 hours with an insurance company, like what a waste of time. Like that, and the insurance company should that's going to move to AI as well, right? It's going to be real interesting times in the future. That's for sure.
I'm excited for the non-business savvy dentist because I think they're going to benefit the most from this because these tools are going to come out that are just going to help analyze your practice and keep you on track. Like I think there's a lot of opportunity for dentists to do really well or to right the ship if they're having issues just by using some of these tools.
Yeah. 100%. And like, I always encourage everybody, just like start with ChatGPT, like play around with it. Obviously that's one application. There's a lot of different tools out there, but, you know, you're almost going to be missing the boat if you're not starting now. Like there's, you got to dive in, you got to get in now. I'm like teaching my kids how to use it too, right? Like, it's going to change education. It's going to do all sorts of great things. Speaking of that, I'm just going to jump onto Ascend Dental Education website here. If there was folks that are interested in finding out more about the course or the courses that you offer, where would one start?
Yeah, so it depends on your current comfortable level with this tech. The way that we've structured Ascend is there's definitely a lot of 3D printing and design elements to it. The intro course, we're running one this November. It's our most the course that's next on the docket. That's a great place to start if you've never done any kind of 3D printing or design. You'll walk out of that course being able to use exocad to do pretty much anything that most offices would want to do: models, night guards, inlays, onlays, crowns, those kinds of things. We use Sprint Ray pretty much exclusively in these courses just because their tech is right there with the resins that they have available. But after that, it just gets into the world of almost specialty stuff. You know, you want to make digital dentures. Do you need to train your office manager? Do you want to do some dental photography? There's a lot of a la carte options that are available there to be able to just learn cool things. I mean, we really try to make it excellent and easy to digest continuing education. And we want our participants to leave there feeling like they really got what they paid for, because there's just so much cool stuff out there to learn. And we want you guys to be able to take that back home with you and be equally as excited, because I think that there is a huge benefit and an entire realm of dentistry that most people never thought that was possible, available with these 3D printers. So yeah, our offerings keep expanding. We're doing business coaching as well as mindset coaching. It depends on the specific needs of the practice. We have an option for pretty much every need out there.
Cool. I love it. And just to get in touch, what would be the best way?
Best way by far is Instagram. So it's at ascenddentaleducation.com. If you follow us on Instagram and DM us the word crown, I do have a step-by-step guide for people that, specifically iTero users, because you guys have access to iTero Design Suite. I have a step-by-step guide for crown design available for you that I will send you. It is just such a cool tool. You know, the iTero users out there really have a leg up on some of the other companies, just given that they get free exocad basically without having to pay extra for it, just built into their scanner.
Cool. I love it. Aside from all this dental business fun, what other things float your boat? What else brings you fulfillment? Or what other things are you passionate about?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I've got two young kids, so spending time with them, my life has transformed very much over the last 6 years since my daughter was born. So yeah, it's mostly, you might laugh at this, but my kids are into 3D printing now. So we're 3D printing Pokemon figurines at home for them. And that's that's very cool for me to see. But yeah, between that and trying to stay healthy both mentally and physically, it's really all just about trying to live the fullest that I can. Like that's really all I do. I just try to spend my moments bettering myself in some way. That could be doing nothing. It could be, learning a completely new skill set. But I live in the Okanagan. I can't complain. We live in a playground, and there's no limit to the fun things that I get to do on a day-to-day basis.
It is a cool, like, I love Kelowna.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Like, I was last out there during Todd's, and just like being on the lake there, just, it's gorgeous, like, and there's so much to do. Like if you're an outdoors type, hilarious. Like my kids we're 3D printing at home too.
That's awesome.
Yeah. They're into Minecraft. So we're printing all sorts of different like Minecraft things, but it's fun. Jordan, this has been awesome. Plans for your weekend here? What's happening? What are you up to?
Oh, just what? It's filled with podcasts and hikes and a couple good dinners. That's basically my plans this weekend.
Perfect. You're on a couple more podcasts, like, are you? Yeah. Or nice. That's cool. Which ones are you going on?
There's a local one here in Kelowna that I'm trying to support. So that's an in-person one. It's actually the first in-person one that I'll have done, which is kind of neat. So,
they're the best. Like when somebody's in studio here with me, it's always the best. Like, so that's good.
Well, we'll have to do it next time.
There you go. That would be awesome. I'd love to have you here. This has been awesome. Let's keep in touch. And enjoy your long weekend.
Sounds good.
That wasn't supposed to happen.